Hello, beautiful souls. Victoria Amador here. And in this video, I want to talk to you about the sacred bond, the spiritual connection between the Godchild and the Godparents in 21 divisions and ifying other spiritual practices that are basically ATR related, right? So I want to show you a video first. I'm gonna go here. Start again. That gentleman has power to call this. You can feel the fluid, the energy, the video. Okay, I hope I paused that because I wanted to bring the other video, but let's see if I can resume. Okay, I hope it's working. So I wanted to show you that because I think obviously there is a huge misconception that this is evil work, that this is darkness, but people need to understand the importance of what's happening here through the lens of understanding not only the connection that you see the drummers and the singers, and they're invoking and they're using the drums are a spiritual technology. The songs are also a spiritual technology that a lot of people don't understand. When the energy, the fluid of the energy being invoked, and there is a person that is sensitive to energy, obviously some of them are able to mount that energy. But that's just a little clip so that you guys can enjoy. I really want to focus on the sacred bond here. And if you understand the sacred nature of the spiritual parenthood, when somebody goes through certain spiritual awakening and initiations and baptism, right? There is a lot of things happening with the person. And I want to use the lens of the Vedic system and the teachings of Chailaja, which is an Indian guide teacher who speaks on the Vedic lineage awakening process. And I'm going to refer to some of the work that she's done, because I think that she is extremely accurate in what is happening in the spiritual awakening process, and also how we can see the similarities with 21 divisions. So many people really fail to understand that accepting, when we go through this process and we're looking for a godparent for initiations and baptism, we're really going into the ancestral and the spiritual family of that person that you're going to be initiated with. And for a lot of people, those that are very serious about what this means, they're not going to take just anyone. They're going to be looking for specific type of people, or the misterio has to tell them this person needs to be initiated by you, or they will send them to somebody else who are supposed to be initiating the person. So they're not just going to take anyone just because they have the money and the desire to pay for an initiation. It really is, if we really understand what this means, this is a very serious process of entering a lineage, a spiritual and ancestral lineage, a spiritual system where the individuals are working with a godparent. And that godparent is representing a whole system of consciousness that is going to be passed down to the initiate. So when we take someone under our wings, we really become, those people become our spiritual child. And this is not something to be really taken lightly. It creates such a sacred bond, a sacred unity at the soul level, not just at the physical level, which is why this is a very serious situation when we decide to take someone. When we decide to take someone, we really have to be clear that that person has the psychological health and maturity and spiritual maturity to understand, process, digest, and keep certain secrets, and to be respectful to the family, the ancestral, the spiritual lineage that they're being initiated into. Because when you are being initiated into a certain lineage within a person, right, even within the tradition, there are different lineages, right? There are different divisions that the person may belong to, and also what their ancestral line has done as well, right? So you get initiated into a whole system, a whole lineage that has to approve you. And sometimes if we have hope that the person can do it, but we may encounter certain energies that said, you need to be careful with this one, or this is not really a good situation with this one, or this person doesn't belong in this lineage. Sometimes you're going to get a clear no, like you cannot proceed with this person. But before getting to the no, I want to explain what Shaila Ja, that's her name, Shaila Ja. From her perspective, she talks about it obviously from a guru's perspective, because they don't really have that. The equivalent to a godparent in the Vedic system is going to be a guru, right? Someone who brings us out of the cycles of life and death. And often the guru doesn't mean it's a physical being, but it can be a guru on a higher plane, right? They have that understanding. And obviously for us, non-physical godparent or energy is going to be our lua, right? So the lua that is not in the physical, but is going to use a person that is initiated into the mysteries to baptize a child of them, right? So that that person can become their child in the spiritual realm as well, right? Not only in the physical. So, anyways, through dreams, meditations, and contemplations, we can connect with this godparent. We can get dreams about who we should go to. We can get certain pulls into that person, like you feel the pull into that person. 21 divisions, the Luaces, they visit us in dreams, meditations, prayers, during communion, with, in community feasts and so on. And also in sacred silence, right? Meditation with nature, even, right? So there is this connection where we can feel the energy of a Lua that is coming to us and letting us know it's time to initiate, or it's time to go through baptism. Maybe you need to find a teacher and so on. And when we get specifically sent to someone, that's very precise, but sometimes people don't get that type of clear knowing, right? So they may be looking around. And when they're looking around, obviously, there could be the process of finding someone that is not really in their best interest, and no understanding truly the connection between, when you say yes to initiate with someone, the connection that you're making with that person and their lineage. So we really have to take this very seriously, because we have to be compatible. We have to have a level of respect and selection to the process, so that when we enter into that lineage, that we don't become disrespectful, that we don't become, and sometimes that's very subtle, the way that people can become disrespectful. It's not just by being clearly disrespectful. Sometimes it's the things that they believe that is hidden, that they believe is hidden, but somebody that is able to see and understand and sense energy is going to see through the hypocrisy, right? So sometimes a godparent is going to say no to someone that is not in alignment, not because they don't want to, not because they don't think highly of the person, but because they're not in the same vibrational field of the lineage that they work with. So, but what happens when there is this spiritual misalignment, right? When we perhaps push to go and initiate with someone that is not supposed to be in alignment with the path that we're supposed to walk for this life and beyond, because you get initiated into the lineage, you get also initiated at a very spiritual level. You now belong to this family at a spiritual level, a family of spirits that are vibrating at a specific frequency. It's an energetic signature, right? So there is a specific vibrational frequency that has been cultivated and maintained through many generations. For example, in 21 division, the spiritual court, right? The conjunto de misterios that govern each casa or spiritual house creates a unique energy environment. As you saw in the video, you see the house and you see the community feast, the yearly feast, and you see the number of people that are coming in there that are supporting the vibrational frequency of that house, of that temple, right? Of that house. So there is this vibrational field that is being created, and that continues from year to year, from week to week, from month to month, from lifetime to lifetime. And certain people have to uphold and maintain that in order for it to continue, right? So when you come into this lineage, into this house, you're going to be vibrating at a specific frequency, and to maintain that with the respect and understanding that it deserves, you have to have a level of spiritual and psychological maturity that someone that doesn't have it is going to mess it up real fast. And what happens when they mess it up? So at the beginning, you go through initiation. That's not the final step. Initiation is the beginning. It's a testing process. Before that, you have to go through certain refrescos, you do certain rituals, you're getting ready. You may be tested in the dream space. When you go through the initiation, it's the beginning. You're being introduced to the lineage. And when you're introduced to the lineage, that doesn't mean it's the end. That's just the beginning of a formal relationship where many different energies are going to be testing your dedication, your understanding, your wisdom in these different type of rounds, your integrity, the level of respect for what they represent, where they come from, what they have endured. It's almost like a spiritual DNA, the DNA that it has to be compatible with you. You have to be compatible with this spiritual DNA that is built within the house and the godparents that you're trying to initiate with, that transcends desires and whatever you think you're going to get out of this. You have to question your intentions for wanting initiation, for wanting to go through baptism. And if you, during that process, get tested and you don't pass, things are going to get complicated for you. I'm not going to put any fear into this. I think you know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, once you start the initiation process, that's just the beginning. Then when you go through the baptism, that's like you passing through the door symbolically. Initiation is you being introduced to the door. Can you go through the door, right? You're at the door, you're going to be tested to know if you belong, if you understand, if you're ready, if you can go through the door. Because once you go through the door and you become part of the lineage, this is a soul agreement that you cannot simply break. So you have to be sure that this is something that you want. Each spiritual lineages, they carry different energy signatures, as I explained. So you want to ensure that what they are working with, the spirits that they're working with, that is something that is in alignment with your life path here, with what you want to do here. Not because any of them are better than the other, but because of the difference in energy signature, right? You want to make sure that you're not going into a lineage that is going to go against what you're supposed to be doing for this lifetime. You want to choose wisely, just like the godparent is choosing you. You also have to choose, and it has to be an energetic match between the two of you in order for this to really happen. There are different factors in the spiritual assessment where, during a consultation, a priest or priestess, a Mambo, Hogan, are going to be guided by their spiriting, obviously. And you're going to be evaluated at multiple dimensions, not just in the physical. Do you show respect? Do you show up on time? Do you bring the things that they're asking you to bring for your rituals and so on? Do you participate? Do you have a level of respect, not just because you're pretending, but because you really understand the seriousness of this work, right? So the spiritual lineage's compatibility is crucial when you're seeking ancestral initiations into these ancestral spiritual lineages, right? You also have to be karmically ready, like you have to sometimes purify yourself to the point where you now can enter. A lot of people try to do it out of desperation, and that's when things become really ugly and complicated. Because the luases can help you on a lot of things, but if you're trying to go into initiations and baptism just to purify and clear your karma, you may even entangle it more, because it's too much sometimes to go through certain tests without having the psychological health and maturity that is required, because you really are opening yourself to different levels of dimensions, and the person might not really get that. There is also an energetic constitution here, whether their spiritual body can safely channel the particular frequencies in the lineage that you're trying to initiate with. There is, like I said, the life mission alignment, and also the community harmony. Can you get along without disrupting the families, the casas, the temples balance, because some people may be very respectful to you, they may really want this, but they don't get along with everybody in the lineage, in the house, in the temple, with the people that are part of the close community, and they may have just too much disharmony that is going to disrupt the balance. So a godparent might say, this person is not really, there's something off with this person that they need to work through first before really entering into this house. And there is also timing considerations that you have to consider. Is this the right moment? Are you ready for this next step, right? So in many ATR, obviously including 21 divisions, there is a distinction between just participating. You see all of these people are participating in let me see if I can pull this. They're participating. So they're participating, right? There are people, obviously the main Mambo. There are people supporting the house. There, people that are assisting with the cooking, people that are praying, and then they're the participants. A lot of people can participate, but to hold a specific role within the temple, within the house, within the casa, requires a specific calling. And not everybody's meant to be the Mambo or Hogan. Some people are supposed to be supportive in whatever capacity they're ready to serve, right? So the entry to the general lineage, right? You have to have a real authentic connection to the spiritual tradition. If you don't understand the sacredness of the tradition, you need to really start with that, because some people want to be your student, or you want to be somebody's student because you believe the whole wisdom that you would like to have, but you don't necessarily understand their lineage. Well, that's a problem, right? Obviously, you have to be welcome into the circle. You have to approach it with respect and sincere intention. You really have to harmonize with the community's energy. You have to be seeking growth and healing, and you have to desire to honor and work with the ancestral spirits of that lineage. So these individuals may receive through that process spiritual healing, cleansings, protective ceremonies. They may receive talismans and a specific work to learn how they work. They're going to receive knowledge and wisdom, essentially, at the end of the whole thing, right? Like blessings. They're going to receive minor initiation. They may receive the godparent coming into the dreams and doing additional work with them to help them for whatever reason is needed in order to get them ready for the initiations and baptism. And when the person is going through becoming a Mambo or Hogan, this is completely different than just being an assistant or a participant. This requires a level of readiness that the person really has to be serious, and it's going to take years for you to get to that point. You may get initiated and you get an initiation and then you do a baptism a year later, but that's just the beginning. It's going to take many years, potentially 7 to 12 years of really working day in and day out in the dreams, in day regular life, working with these energies, understanding things that you didn't understand before, clearing your karmic patterns across multiple lifetimes, working with your ancestral lineage seriously, like next level ancestral healing type of stuff. It's also going to require your ability to channel certain spiritual forces safely. You're going to have to question a lot. You're going to have a lot of doubts, a lot of questions. You're going to be wondering, what is this, like, what is going on? Sometimes you're going to want to quit more than once. You're going to have so many doubts and fears come up. You're going to have to go through a lot of emotional and psychological situations to prepare you so that you can guide others safely. You're going to have to be, you're going to have to feel the calling authentically, where you know without a doubt this is what you want after years of contemplation and doubts and fears, facing all of that. It's going to require also a mentor, a godparent that can work with you without making you handicapped, someone that wants the best interest for you, someone that is committed to you, someone that believes in you, someone that obviously has walked the path, somebody that has really good ability to check and assess your character, integrity, humility, and service to others. Like, are you really ready to serve others? And also there is the responsibility, right? The financial piece of this that requires some, financial readiness. So the path is truly challenging. It's not easy. There will be times when you feel like you're going insane because of the way that you're being pulled in so many ways to strengthen your character and your integrity. You're going to be questioned about everything within you, not just because other people are doing it, not because your grandparent is teaching and challenging you, but because you're also are being pulled, your psyche is being upgraded, your mind is changing, everything is changing. And you have to be willing, because a lot of people give up in the beginning or in the middle of this because it's so deep and intense. So I just wanted to do this to help you understand that this is a very sacred initiation process. When you are initiated into a specific lineage, in a specific house with a specific person, that person comes with a lineage, with a system that has been cultivated through hundreds or thousands of years. So who are you to come into the house and the lineage to bring this harmony or this respect or questioning things that are out of line, or not because you're curious, but because it's coming from a lack of understanding and reverence, right? This is not a class on manners, but it's just sometimes people don't understand when this is being done, something like this is being done, everything that goes on to make this what it is, a feast not only for the mysterious, but for the community, for healing, for community, for energetic, vibrational upgrades, and so on. Probably one of the most sacred things when we attend a fiesta, a fiesta de palo, project, like we are coming into this experience, and a lot of people think we're just going to go and have some food and dance or listen to some prayers. This is way more than that. This is about preserving a sacred order. This is about quality of spiritual service to provide it to the community. This is about integrity of the ritual transmissions and the effectiveness of the ceremony. This is about authentic spiritual lineage, being free from ego-driven or from unprepared practitioners who are just joking around and they just want the knowledge without putting in the effort, right? This is about balance in spiritual ecology, where each person serves according to their true calling, and protection of sacred knowledge that requires the person to be ready for the transmission. So I'm going to leave it here for now. I hope you liked it. I'm going to turn this on so you can see it.